Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us. We had a little bit of hiccup, technology as it is going to play with us right before we start. How are you today, Aubrey?
Oh, now that I can hear you, I'm fine. I'm doing well. How about you? I'm
Uh,
I'm surviving the heat over here.
I know it's like the headphones can't survive the heat for us either. So I'm glad that you are here. We are here for somebody's son, to quote Jasmine. We're here for somebody's son.
Yeah, there we are. There you have it. And a couple of these ladies too, and maybe one or two of the mothers.
Definitely one or two of the mothers. Definitely. We got, a lot this episode 11.
Hmm.
It was only one episode this time. It wasn't two, though I enjoyed the two. It
Yeah,
ran us a little bit long.
it did. It did. It did indeed. But this was a good one. This one had some juicy bits in it here and there and everywhere.
Here, there, and everywhere. And this is the first time I think I want to start exactly how the show progressed. Because, we always, jump into the juicy bit later. But we're
Hmm.
going to start with what the people want to know. And y'all, while we get started, this is being simulcast on actually Aubrey's channel as well. Please make sure you like this live on both of our channels. Make sure you subscribe because both of us are coming out with content and you don't want to miss it. So we do ask that you do like and you do subscribe. That is the free 99 way of supporting our channel, our content, and keep us going together. Hey, D Brown, glad to have you here. Your work? Well, we're going to start off with where you like, D Brown, who annoys me most. We're going to start off. We're going to start off with Chad.
Poor Chad. Poor Chad.
Jasmine got on my nerves too. She ain't getting no passes. No passes this time. So
No.
let's start it off with Jasmine saying the house is quieter, but she does miss Lauren. Kay just said the tension is thick yesterday. Hopefully it's calmer today. And Chad and his mother goes to talk about the bombshell that Lauren threw. It was not expected. He said what he did, maybe it contributed to her leaving. And Katina's like, she left because she caught Chad in the bed with Jasmine. You better tell him. She's like, it was a hard no. She understands as a woman and respect. And she, though she's sad, she respects Lauren's decision. And Chad actually had the nerve to say he was shocked. Why? I'm like, why is he shocked? Did he get away with being caught in the past? Why is he shocked?
I think so. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's my suspicion. I don't know for a fact. We only see these people on an edited show, but I do think that he has done something similar and not been caught.
I know. It feels like that. It feels like he has. And hello to everyone who's coming in. We're going to be posting your, chat right here. I think he has been caught. He's been caught before. He's been able to say sorry, dip his head down and look up as he's doing on the show. And he's been able to ask for forgiveness. And then all of a sudden, he's forgiven and we could just go on and on and on and on. I just don't. He got on my nerves. Y'all know I've been on Chad's neck, though respectfully, Chad, Katina, and any of the lovely ladies that were in the house. Y'all are welcomed here for an interview at any time because we have questions. Okay.
We have questions. We have questions. And even though you may not agree with our opinions and thoughts, this is a safe space.
This definitely is a safe space. And we talk here. We're always talking about edits. We're always talking about things may not happen in sequence. And as the beginning of our video always starts, this does not encapsulate the people that we see on our screen. We know there's more to Chad and Katina. We're just talking about what we see on the screen. And what we see is a whole bunch of foolishness today. Okay? Okay. He said he is super confused between Jasmine and Paige. The relationship is not on the same level. because he has a different connection with Jasmine. You mean between the sheets? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But Katina said it's a big change to the atmosphere, and she does. What did you think about what she said? There's a big change that she was caught and that she respects Lauren's decision. What did you think about Katina's conversation with him in that respect?
Well, I don't know. It felt like a little bit like she still coddles Chad, but I think that she kind of walks softly so as not to harm their relationship, because it seems like there was some type of uh period where they weren't close, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I can respect that, because as a mother you want to maintain you know you want to maintain communication with your adult child. You want to be a safe space for your adult child. So I'm not sure how I would have responded had it been me. That's the only thing I can say, because Chad's got a lot of nerve.
Now, I understand because of the cameras, we understand how Katina responded to her adult son. Okay? And as a mama in her in her realm, I don't think I would have responded that diplomatically, cameras or not. You may not have seen me, but you certainly would have heard me because I would still be mic'd up. I would still be mic'd up. First of all, I would have probably, we got to end. We got to end right now because you can't move along and go along with a show and you've been caught in somebody's bed. I'm sorry. But then that's probably why I won't have a show like that.
Oh, and by the way, must I say, you look very, very beautiful today. I love this hair. It is really, really gorgeous on you. I said this before and I got to say this again. So we're here at this point and moment in time because of Chaz's decision and his desire and his lust, but also because of Jasmine. So I got smoke for her too, because and we'll get to a little bit more of that a little bit later as we get to those scenes. But I felt like well, let me just say this. I felt like this whole thing, it wasn't going to be what she wanted it to be, because she skewed the results, and now she can never know if he was truly going to pick her. You see what I'm saying? Because maybe he was going to pick Lauren.
Preach. She will never know. She said she came here for somebody's son. She has to win. We heard that time and time again previously, and now we don't know, did he choose you or did you choose him? It's something about putting water in the milk that just don't come out right. Okay, so did you believe him when he said he was super confused between Jasmine and Paige?
No, never did.
Okay, me neither. So Paige says, it feels strange, without Lauren. And, she says, basically, since Lauren has left, basically they're not having as much fun. Am I supposed to be here? She has no security because Lauren took herself out of the game. And Paige says, hey, basically, she wasn't chosen to stay. So she's feeling some kind of way.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
I can't either. I couldn't either. I gotta say this too. Paige is doing a great job of holding herself respect, holding a space for herself in this whole crazy experience. Because at this point with Chad and Katina in their house, it's definitely crazy. You see what I'm saying? It's definitely crazy, but I have to give 2 thumbs up to Paige, because she is really holding herself, and I like the way she's holding her frame in this situation.
I do. Paige has come out quite glowing in how she has presented herself on this show. I have to say, really, really respect for her. So we see Chad and Jasmine talking, And Jasmine says she's uncomfortable because he's telling her too much. She said it's hard to sit across from Paige knowing how Chad really feels about Paige. And they give us a montage look at Chad talking, pillow talk. Chad apparently is a talker between the sheets, telling her all about what the 10 things I can't stand about Paige.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I'm back to my question. How many times has Chad been in this bed with Jasmine? Is this a third time, or is this one of the 2 times that we have seen?
I feel like it's a litany of times. I feel like it's way more than 2 because they're way too comfortable, and for him to be doing pillow talk, yeah, they've been in bed. I feel like several times.
I agree. I agree because already the newness is wearing off. The newness is wearing off. So Jasmine said she'd rather not know how he feels about Paige, rather that he keeps it to himself. And she pushes Chad to tell Paige how he really feels. And he said he could if he wanted to, but you know what? F it. And he laughs.
Mm-hmm. With them bug eyes of his. I'm sorry. I mean, he looks psychotic. That's the only thing I can say. Those eyes and that look and that, I do what I want to do. That not a good look. Not a good look
Right.
for
He
Chad.
said he wants her to focus on their situation. He does what he wants to do. And, that's probably why Lauren left. And I'm like, he has missed the entire lesson.
Mm-hmm. He did. He did. He's not. Have you noticed that when people don't want to take responsibility, have you noticed their wording of the way things are? It's like it happened by accident. Oh, I'm so sorry this happened. I'm so sorry you were offended. But there's never any wording that shows any kind of accountability. That's what I feel we're getting from Chad and also from Jasmine.
Right. Because I'm like, really? So Jasmine says she doesn't know who he is apart from what he has shown so far, and you still shared a bed with this man. Then she said he is showing that he doesn't care. And I'm like, certainly not about your feelings. Are you getting the lessons, Jasmine? What did you think when she was telling herself that he hasn't, shown who he is apart from what she has been presented with thus far?
Yeah, I was responding. Yeah, to that comment. Yeah, I was saying that because Miss Iffy had a good point. She says that I don't think that Chad likes his mother based on his behavior and what I watched on the show. He resents his mother, and yeah, I kind of see that. But I also feel it goes deeper than liking. It's also a thing called respect because there's certain things you will do or won't do if you respect a person regardless of their gender, regardless of their race, all of those things. If you respect them as a human being, as a person that has value, you're not going to treat them just any old kind of way.
Right. You're definitely not going to treat them any old type of way. And my thing is that Jasmine is like now starting to look. I mean, you've invited this man, you wanted to win him. You're here for somebody's son, you wanted to win him, and now you're saying that he has problematic behavior. He had it before. See,
Yeah,
Jasmine seems like she just wants to win, and she's not looking at what she's going to be winning.
right, exactly. That's the thing. What is she going to be winning, and how is it going to be in the long term? Because like I keep saying, like she will never know if this man would have picked Lauren because he definitely was intrigued by Lauren. He definitely was physically attracted to Lauren.
But then, okay, but he's caught in Jasmine's bed. So how would he think that any woman would want? Okay, let's say he does pick Lauren. Does he think she would never know that he was in Jasmine's bed?
Oh, I think that's what he was hoping for. Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Note to gentlemen who are like Chad, and we know that not everyone is like that. Note to what you do in the dark will come to light, and sometimes they find out about it in the dark, like Lauren did. Okay. Don't try that mess. I mean, and you're in the same house. Don't try that mess. But anyway, Chad goes and he does speak to Paige. He said he plans to tell Paige, and it's time to rip the band-aid off. And he thought that she would have an open mind, and he didn't want to rule her out, but there was no physical attraction. And Paige said, "This is the missing piece of the puzzle." She said, "You sat there on the date, asked me to be more affectionate, and it's hurtful because it feels like he has strung her along, and she needs an apology." And I wonder if this was a longer conversation and he didn't apologize appropriately. That's why she gave him the apology that he needs to say. She said, "I could not be with a man. I could not be man enough to tell you no physical reaction. So I took out, the cop-out route and make it seem you were not affectionate so I can make a decision." And he wanted to push her under the bus. She actually wrote his apology for him. What did you think about Paige writing that apology for him?
I think she ate. I think she totally ate. Like I said, I am so impressed with Paige to not give in to any kind of pressure to feel less than, because certainly the way he was treating her would make many people feel less than, myself included, because everything about the way he was treating her these last couple of dates and outings and in the house, and when he didn't respond to her hug and things like this, it was like a blow off. It was dismissive, and now we know why. But I kind of felt that he was not physically attracted to Paige. I did feel that. But then why tell her to be more affectionate towards you? See, and that's where she got him at too. She said, "Look, you were wrong," and she pointed out exactly where he was wrong.
Right, and she, that's why I said she looked like she was to the point of, "I'm tired of hearing your roundabout non-apologies. Let me write this." She became his ghostwriter. She became his apology ghostwriter, but we know who wrote it. She was like, "Just say this. That's what I need you to say. Insert your name here.
Sign here on the line."
So he said he can see that, how she felt, that she said she needed confirmation to do more physically, and she's like, "That is not the issue." He said, "If physical was that bad, she would not have made it this far, and all I could do is scream no, no, no to the TV because Mama Katina picked her." Remember what we said in that first review?
Yeah,
we said it. We said it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that too. I was like, if he wasn't attracted to her, if it was that low, she wouldn't have been there. Once again, gaslighting and lying, whichever one you want to call it, because it's a little bit of both, I think. But absolutely, she wasn't there because of his choice. She was there because of his mom.
Right, because remember, he was moping about the fact that Mama sent Miranda home.
Yeah.
Mama sent Miranda home, and he was moping about it, and his face was all twisty about it. And here it is. And we said in our first recap that Paige might catch strays because she was not his choice.
That's right. That's right. And it brings me to another thought, and I got to ask you this seriously, ladies, everybody out there in the chat, whether you're watching us live or on the replay, comment below. What do you think? What if Paige was one of those pick-me-shit type gals and she was all into Chad and she had went and knocked on his door the night that he happened to be in his room anyway, right? And not in Jazz's room. What if she had knocked on his door and had on her little, sexy little negligee or whatever, and crawled into bed? Does any one of us think that he would have refused her in that situation?
My vote is no.
Yeah, drop a one. Yeah, okay. Well, drop a one in the chat if your vote is no, and then if you think he would have refused her. No, he wouldn't have. Drop a one, and two if you think he would have. Because of his integrity, he would have said, "No, Paige, I can't do this. You have to leave now with your sexy negligee on." Yes, exactly, Miss Iffy. I love the way Paige carried herself because I would. Right, exactly. It's like to me, they could use this show, this episode, to show other women how to deal with men and to deal with rejection and keep your head up high and know that you are still someone special and precious. Doesn't matter that he's not attracted to you. That's not even the point. This was just an experience for all of them.
Exactly. And he said he's floored and he's not trying to go back and forth with a woman, which I thought was a little bit condescending. Yes, it's true. He ain't trying to go back and forth with a woman, but he knew he was wrong. That's why he couldn't go back and forth with her.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
Paige said, Chad tried to play in her face and, not someone that she wants to take home with her to her parents with this type of behavior. So that's also where we agree with Miss Iffy. She carried herself in a spectacular manner, especially when what she did next. She went and knocked on Miss Katina's door. Mama, you got to wake up. Mama.
Yeah, that surprised me. That surprised me a little bit, but I kind of expected it. But the way she did it, it was so comical.
Right. It's like knock, 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 knock. Mama, you gotta wake up. And Miss Katina looked very, very, very lovely. I don't know what stage of going to bed she was in. Her head was wrapped up. She was in her
Mm-hmm.
robe. She's like, hey, we in the bright lights now. What's going on? And Paige said, I just want to say goodbye. And Miss Katina clutched the pearls that she was not carrying. Okay.
She sure did. She did. She's like, but why? But why? Tell me
What
what happened.
happened?
What
Another
happened?
night I go to bed and something else happened.
Listen, lady, you just need to stay up 24/7 with your chair by Chad's door because you got to keep better tabs on this guy.
At
I'm
30, at 30, he need tabs.
right. And I'm joking, of course. I am
Right.
absolutely joking.
So Paige does tell Katina what has happened. She does listen. She listened quite attentively. She does state that she felt that, Chad and Paige had a lot in common and she would have brought a lot to Chad. And I was thinking, well, what is Chad bringing to her? But, he must have some qualities. Okay. But she commends Paige for how she has gone through this process and that Paige is doing what is best for her. And she wants to give Chad a good old fashioned whooping. And she thinks that Paige was the one best suited for Chad. But Paige says she's glad she can go to Miss Katina and feel safe and tell her all that she experienced and give her gratitude. Now, what did you think with that interaction with Paige and Katina?
Yeah, I thought it was very almost, if you didn't know it, you could have almost thought that Katina was Paige's mom. I mean, because Katina showed a lot of compassion as the mother of somebody's son. She showed a lot of compassion and a lot of empathy for Paige, just as she did with Lauren before Lauren left, right? And you get the feeling that these young ladies really bonded with Katina more so than with Chad. Like Katina is the star in the house. She's the one that the ladies are really there for, because I don't think it's Chad. Um, I
I
don't think.
agree. Katina
Yeah.
was the glue in the house. If you saw it with the way Lauren left, and you see it tonight with her conversation with Paige, Katina
Mhm.
was definitely the glue. Now, what I am kind of, I want to go the extra mile, singing her praises, but what I don't see too much, at this point of the show is the accountability. It's like, who is this man that is my son?
Yeah, he's acting out. I mean, I don't know if that's how he normally behaves or if he's acting out because his mom really had no, it seemed like she didn't really have a strong grip on what his past dating life was like, but he's really for the shenanigans is what I'm seeing.
Right. And I'm wondering, since he has a mom who is involved in his life and he has sisters, this to me is outside the realm of what I have known or an experience with a man who was raised and had a mom and especially sisters as well, that you would be a little bit more respectful.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think so. I really want to know. We met the moms, but now I'm kind of concerned about what's the dad like. What's the dad like?
what the dad is like, and I don't know. I don't know. Lady T-Bug, thank you for being here because we roasting your Leo brother, okay? We roasting him. Because one of the ladies decided to leave the house. Another one. Uh, Paige decided to go and tell Jasmine she leaving. See, Paige is again proven herself to be a class act. She goes to tell Jasmine she's leaving. But I think Paige don't know the full context of things because of the way she's leaving. She said, hey, we allowed him to behave like this and have Jasmine feel the wrath. I'm like, what wrath? Jasmine is a part of this.
Right.
What wrath
Right.
exactly? Paige, your blinders are on.
I don't know. I don't know if there's something that we missed that was edited out. I don't know. Because, do you remember this? And I've been meaning to ask you about this. Do you recall, I think it was the last episode where Paige said that her and Jasmine were roommates. And then I kept thinking, well, if they were roommates, how was it that he was able to get into her room and it was just the one person in the bedroom?
I think roommates in the sense of they may be sharing a bathroom.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
I
it's a
guess.
Jack and Jill where you have to go through the bathroom.
Oh,
She can go
okay.
through the bathroom to Jasmine's room. I think that's
Ah.
how Lauren came through. Remember, Lauren checked on Paige, and then she showed up in Jasmine's through like the bathroom. I think that's the
Ah.
roommate part of it.
Oh,
But
okay, okay, because I didn't understand that. Okay.
but Paige don't know that Jasmine issued the invitation to her room to Chad. Paige don't know that piece.
Oh, well, I mean, but I'm. Well, wait a minute. Hold up. She kind of does and she doesn't because you could kind of a reasonable person would assume this thing because listen to this. How in the heck would he be in her bed with her and she's not screaming, hollering bloody murder?
No, but I'm saying she doesn't know the context of the full situation that Chad gave Lauren Jasmine a note to come to his room, and then Jasmine sent him a note instead, come to my room. I don't think she knows when she's thinking that Jasmine's going to stay there for the wrath. Jasmine ain't staying there for the wrath. Jasmine is the one that supplied the fire and the gasoline because she sent him to you to tell you he ain't feeling you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of interesting. Let me just say this too. What while we're on this topic, what do you think about what Jasmine said that she thought that he talked too much in telling her how he felt about Paige.
Jasmine don't like pillow talk. Jasmine don't want to hear about the competition because you talking about the competition means you're not thinking about her.
Mm. Well, now that's more a little bit more self-centered than the way she phrased it on the show because she made it seem like there was an altruistic reason and she was down for her girl and don't be telling me bad things about my girl because then I got to sit and look across the table at her as we're playing cards and that doesn't make me feel good. See, this is the same Jasmine that started crying when she was busted that he was in her bed, right? This is the
Right.
same Jasmine.
Again, Jasmine's playing both sides.
Mm-hmm. She is.
Jasmine's, wants to be chosen by him, wants to feel like she's the winner. But then when, stuff hit the fan, she wants to seem like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this has happened. No, girl, you played a part on both sides. You invited this man and said it's okay for him to be in your bed, knowing there are other women in the house vying for his attention. You're also the one pushing him to say, I ain't feeling you. I mean, you playing both sides, and now you're caught in the middle. Now you want to be like, oh, I'm broken up about this. I don't know how this happened. I'm sorry. She is quintessential throwing stones, hiding her hand.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. And I've been saying that all along. Like when she was crying last week, I said, you know what? It's not real. And she had the red puffy eyes and everything and she was crying and she was talking about you guys just don't understand how I feel, how bad I feel. Well, how bad do you feel? How bad did you feel last night when he was in your bed? How about that? Can you give us a play by play?
Right. And as Miss Iffy, I agree. Jasmine wanted to come across as the good girl.
Yes.
But with all her shenanigans, Now here comes another girl leaving you with the prize that you think you won.
Wait a minute,
And we
catch
gonna
this
get
up
to
here.
it.
Catch this up here if you haven't already put it on the screen. Manira's comment about Jasmine.
Jasmine doesn't want Chad anymore after the girls don't want him anymore. Chad is no longer a prize for her anymore. Jasmine wants the other girls to like him too, to feel like a winner. Yeah, Jasmine wants to feel like she was chosen.
There you go. Good one, Manira. I agree with you.
Well, she is feeling bad, Lady T-Bug.
And did you, hey, Lady T-Bug, hey there, shout out to her. Listen, did you see what she said? She said, us Leos are an acquired taste.
Yes, she, Lady T-Bug is a Leo like Chad. They're acquired taste. And she also said earlier that Chad is misunderstood.
Oh, yeah. Just like Jasmine is misunderstood.
Right, Jasmine is misunderstood. So, basically, Paige, say we have allowed him to behave like this. Jasmine is there to feel the wrath. And she says he is a weak man to try and save himself and to lie on a black woman to save himself. She said she didn't want her experience of Chad to affect Jasmine's experience. And I'm like, Paige, she is not your friend. Ugh, this irked the heck out of me.
Well, wait a minute. What did you want poor Paige to be upset with Jazz? Nobody can be upset with Jazz. She's only 26 years old. Do you see that little baby face?
Of course I'm upset with her because it's like no remorse. You are party to the problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And she's making it seem, she don't even know that Jasmine is the one that had to push him to tell her that there was no physical, attraction. She don't know that part. So she's handling herself with class, Paige, and she don't know that Jasmine is the one that lit the match.
Well, you know what? That's interesting because if this show should do a reunion. Just make sure you don't have Tehran to be the host, okay? Please.
I would love a reunion. I would love a reunion for Somebodysson. I don't care who the host or hostess is. I would love a reunion because we have questions.
We have questions.
We have questions. So Paige said she thought about leaving when Lauren did. Remember, we talked about this in the last recap.
Yep.
She said she thought about it, but she said she can't stay right now for the sake of the process or for the sake of Jasmine. She can't stay for someone who won't step up and do what Chad did. She said Jasmine is the best roommate. I'm like, she slept with Chad. Why is she the best roommate? How do we get there? And by that I mean she was in a bed with him. We don't know what they did. There's innuendo that they did sleep together. We don't know these people. This is an edited show. But again, girl, how do you have a good roommate who's in the sheets with the man you're competing for?
Again, I still think there's something that was edited out, or it maybe didn't even occur on camera. Maybe it's the girls having, sitting around talking in their bedroom, and Jazz really pouring her heart out and crying some more to Paige, that has Paige in this sentimental mood about Jazz. I think she's. I would say I feel like Paige is a girl's girl, and she wants all the women to win, right? And she's not a pygmisha. She's not showing signs of that like Jasmine was. But you're right. It would be interesting to see what Paige would say to Jazz once she finds out that what Jazz was doing behind the scenes.
Exactly, because like Chicago Girl, I was screaming at the TV. I was like, Paige, you do not know the whole story. Please. And that's when I was like, please have a reunion. please, can we have a reunion? And can we have a reunion where everybody's sitting around, mama and son, and the ladies he had to choose from behind? And if we could ask the ladies, here's one question. If you could switch out which son you could compete for, which would it be? I need that question if we have a reunion.
Ooh. How many of the ladies are going to raise their hand and say Joshua?
Well, oh golly, we're gonna get to Joshua's the next one. Next one after this. So we have the last day in the house, which will be a final date. Chad says that Jasmine balances him out, and Jasmine said there are things they need to talk about. He said he had to pull the band-aid off and he could not wait to tell Paige. And I'm like, lies. Jasmine pushed you to tell. He asked how did she feel about the process? What was her opinion? He says he sees how down Jasmine was made by him talking about Paige. And Jasmine says she's nervous. The physical attraction is there, but is that all that there is? Chad said there's passion. She is calm. She writes it's who she is. And he finds himself calm when he's laying in the bed with her.
Well, is that 15 minutes later or is that before? That's all I want to know.
I don't need you calm in the bed with me, because calm to me mean we go to sleep. But anyway, he says we will take his definition that it is calm. He says, can this last outside the experience? He is interested, and he asked her, do you want to date exclusively? And Jasmine answers, what did she say actually, Aubrey?
Heck to the no, no, no.
Not right now. I am not ready.
I'm not ready. And I felt like, you know what? I felt like she finally said something that was true, but I don't think in her heart of hearts she believes it to be true. It was just a nice way of saying no. But I believe that neither one of them are ready. Neither one of them are ready to date exclusively. They got a lot of growing to do, both of them.
But my thing is, I agree, with the statement before, I believe it was Munira, that he was like, or sorry, Jasmine was like, she is no longer competing for this man. She is catching him by default, and she don't want it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, if all the other ladies still found him to be attractive and thought he was a catch, I think she would have stuck it out with him for a while.
Exactly. If Paige decided to stay and work on their physical connection, I think she would have stayed.
Because she's competitive. That's her whole thing. She's competitive.
Now she's a consolation prize.
Which is interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, Elsie, but isn't Paige the one that was the athlete in school? And
yes.
Also, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So it's interesting that Jazz has that very competitive streak that I would expect to see more so in a young lady like Paige.
Well, Paige let it go. She ain't on the track meet right now. I mean, she's competitive. I mean, she blew him away, on the go-kart racing. So she's still got the competitive nature, but she doesn't let it infiltrate in her dating life.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And that's a sign of maturity. That I agree with you on that. I'm just saying it's interesting. It's all of it's very interesting. I think something that Samantha also said too about Samantha and some characteristics that she displays. I agree with you, Samantha. I really do.
Right. She just wants the competition of it all. And now we're no longer competing and you're just here and you're not choosing me and I'm not winning you. I don't want you anymore. But Chad is shocked. He said this threw him for a loop and it's fine. Jasmine says she see how he felt about Paige's feelings. How will he handle her feelings in other situations? And I wonder, is this how Chad moves through life?
I think so. Definitely think so.
He said it threw him off guard when she walked away. Now, Chad got to come back and explain this all to his mama. Okay? He got to come back and explain this to the mama. And Katina says his attitude is arrogant to cover up the rejection. He said he's fine. It's fine. And he says men treat women how they feel about their mother. His nonchalant and don't care attitude. She needs to get him in touch with his emotion. And I'm like, Miss Katina, you need to dig deeper. I need you to dig deeper, but this is a good start. This is a good start. What did you think about Katina's advice about, men, treat women how they feel about their mother?
I think she's on to something. I think that's when you examine that statement, that's a very deep statement. And I definitely agree. And we're not going to talk about anybody that's in the news here lately. We're not going to talk about that. Two of the guys that's in the news lately, we're not going to talk about their situations or lawsuits, and how I suspect, like what she said, that it firmly is related to what and how they think of their mothers.
And I wanted her to dig deeper. Why is Chad being very dismissive of this? And again, y'all, we don't know Katina. We do not know Chad. They're certainly welcome here on the channel. We put in, our, opinion based on what we are seeing. And I'm wondering when did this attitude start? It's
Mm.
one thing now. I can say this as a child. I used to go and summer with family in Canada. I used to go summer, the whole summer, like 2 months. And at the
Okay.
beginning, I didn't understand, why am I going? Well, it was, to have fun or whatever, but why can't I just stay home? But again, did Chad get the sit down and understand why he possibly was going to live with his dad?
Ooh.
Did he
Ooh.
understand? Did they ever have this therapy moment? Could he be feeling that the woman will leave at some point, so I can't emotionally invest?
Ooh. I love that. I love that. Your second calling, girl. Your second calling.
But we don't know them, and it's something that's why I rope it back to me, that it's something you can look at. If you have this distance between you and a parent, you can look at it and see, hey, I didn't know in a child's eyes this is what it looked like. I was being sent away,
Mm-hmm.
rather than in a child's eye, in an adult eyes, understanding now that this is what was best for you. And you got to handle that childlike emotion, your thoughts, possibly abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
isolation, to a parent who didn't have you for these first formative years.
Mm. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and you're right. I think oftentimes as parents, I know for myself anyway, there are times when I look back and I realize so far after the fact that I should have sat down and communicated with my children more clearly. I think kids do feel like it's their fault, like their parents split, it's their fault. Dad leaves the house, mom and dad get a divorce, it's their fault. They get sent to live with one parent over the other parent, it's their fault. We also don't know, and I guess since we're bringing all this up, we also don't know what was the household like where when he moved in with his father. It sounds as if his father at some point remarried, and how was he treated by his stepmother at that point?
Well, I wouldn't even go that far. I would think that possibly the child wouldn't want to connect with a stepmother
Mm,
because it may feel like you're being disloyal to
to
your
your
own mother,
mother, yeah. Okay, I can see that.
and you're just not open to someone else when you're still just trying to, handle being distant from your mother. And yes, Katina has said in many different lives and recaps that she has always been in her son's life. And yes, that is true. They probably did communicate, and she was always in his life, but it's something different when you're not living in the same household. As we said, kids who are of divorced parents, the parents aren't living in the same household, but there certainly is a difference.
Yeah, I think there is that you're right. It makes a difference when you're not there for the day to day, because so much happens in the day to day that you could talk to your child once a day, once a week, twice a week, four times a week, and still miss so much of what's happening in his or her life, right?
Right. Because he goes on to say it's hard for him to be vulnerable. It's hard to tap into some emotions. And, Katina says some men have emotions that are cold and callous, and he acts like he doesn't give a damn. He said, oh, this was a short period of time. He's being very dismissive. He's compartmentalizing in what I'm hearing from this
Okay.
edit. It sounds like, well, you know what? This is too short of a time. I ain't really got no feelings here, whatever. But Katina brings it right back around and says she's grateful to have this time with her son, waking up every day and seeing him and being a part of the household with him, and he can look back and say that he really loved his mom and she does want what's best for him.
Yes. She was very emotional. She was very emotional at the end of that scene. She was very emotional. I mean, you can tell that she really loves her son and wants what's best for him. And it seems like it seemed like to me in this episode, she's also a little puzzled by him too.
Right. She is puzzled by him, I guess, not sealing the deal with Jasmine.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
I mean, like if you're going to be in her bed, at least make her your woman for now. Like.
right. Y'all
And
didn't have an agreement?
right. And now, you know what? Not that you just hit on something. That right there. Like if we were gonna be doing pillow talk, he was doing all this pillow talk, talking about Paige and how he didn't like Paige. Why weren't he and Jasmine cementing their relationship? Like, you know what? Since we got this far and we decided to break the rules and sleep in the bed with one another, you know what? It's gonna be you and me. We gonna leave out here together. I just
Right.
didn't
You and me till
understand
the
that.
end.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't understand that, but it does seem like both of them lose interest because both of them, in my estimation, in my eyesight, both of them are very immature and very self-centered.
Very. Very. I think again, Katina kind of like was surprised, like all of us, that Chad ended up leaving, all the ladies left him.
Yep.
It isn't like he chose, all the ladies left him at different periods. And
Yep.
I wonder, I wonder if she's going to look at her son and realize now, okay, yes, he does love his mother, his sisters and stuff, but how is he changed? How is he treating the women in his life? If this is how he treats women in his life and she's seeing it day to day, what does that mean for their bond?
Mm.
What does that
Mm.
mean? I mean, I would love, to know if they have sought counseling together. You can do counseling separately, but together as a mother and son, it does
Yeah,
hit differently.
that could be something that would be very beneficial for both of them.
Now, to go to Africa makes a unique point. We don't know the attitude or feelings of the parent who raised him towards his other parent. So we don't know the attitude of the dad towards the mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was reading that and I wasn't understanding. I'm glad you read it for me. Yeah. Um, that's a very good point. And that's a thing that I think I mentioned last week. So I'm also wondering, yeah, she brings up a good point. How does the dad feel toward the mom, his ex-wife? And also, how does the dad feel? My question too is how does the dad feel toward women, period? You get what I'm saying?
Right. What I would give, grace to Katina and his dad is we are not our children's only influence.
No,
Okay?
no, we're not. I was thinking
We
about
are
that
not.
too. Yeah, you absolutely no, we absolutely aren't. And let me just say this as you brought it up. Okay, you know what? Is it just me or is a lot of the other people in our audience, whether live or on the replay, drop down in the comments. Are you guys seeing this thing that we've got going on in the Black community and maybe other communities as well, where there's this men against women, males against females? That's like an ongoing theme, especially among the singles.
That's a way to keep a society single, but that's a very small subset. I don't see a whole bunch of folks. I still see people getting married. I have a long-standing girlfriend. She just got engaged last week. So whereas
Nice.
I do see that,
Mhm.
it is not, it's not pervasive in my circles. It is
Okay,
not
well
pervasive in my circles. But
that's
I do
good.
see it. I do hear it. I do see it.
Yes, that's good then, and I'm glad to see that because my daughter also got married this spring. But I think what I tied that to what I just was talking about, the whole idea of males against females in our community. I think it's very much just tied to misogyny, just to be honest, and that is something that is prevalent in cultures across the world.
and I,
Misogyny.
and I blame it too to individual insecurity, be it male or female. It's an insecurity. You're insecure and fearful of rejection. And you know what? You're going to be rejected, male or female. You're going to be rejected
Absolute.
several
Absolutely.
times
Absolutely.
until you find your one. You're going to be rejected. That's just going to be part of life. Now, the length of time it takes your person to get to you, yeah, that's going to be questionable. But again, you still have to be open because you don't know what's going to, transpire when that person's going to come into your life. Because right now, in looking at this and this show, Chad's person can go to Somebodysson and see how he treated these ladies. I wonder if Chad called Miranda after the show. That's another question I got if they have a reunion.
You know what? That's a very good point. I don't know. I don't think, and like you said, I think you just hit on something too. I'm just thinking about what you just said about rejection and disappointment. I got the feeling that Chad doesn't do well with rejection. And while he's not showing his vulnerable side to examine why he feels the way he feels or what he felt about when Lauren left, and then what he felt maybe about Paige leaving, and the apology that she asked of him. Um, I think that he's very closed off to those things, and I don't know. I think it's you're right. It's a lot of insecurity there.
Yeah, I think so too. It it can be worked on. That's the thing. It can be worked on, and every rejection is an opportunity not to waste your time. That's what I used to think of. And that's how a friend, told me. The person rejecting you is choosing not to waste your time and play in your face.
Yeah, yeah, that's something
Because the
Jared.
person, because if you get accepted by everybody,
Yeah, right. And listen, wait, that's something Jared could easily I would like to see Jared from Never Ever Met's learn how to reject a
how
woman
to reject,
and move on.
that will be it. But yes, to wrap this up, all the ladies have decided, yes, Renell Page decided to leave after Chad told him there was no attraction, after actually Jasmine pushed Chad to be honest with Paige and say that there was no attraction, and Paige ripped him a new one and wrote his apology for him. She decided to leave that night.
Yep.
That night, she woke Katina up, told her, I'm leaving now because of your son. But but Chad gonna find somebody to help mend his broken heart. He gonna find
Yeah.
somebody to mend his broken heart. But is there anything else you wish to say about Chad and Katina and the ladies?
No, that pretty much covers it. Like I said, I'm just hoping they have a reunion because there's lots of questions that need to be answered.
Right, we got two already for Chad. I hope the own family is taking note. So the next one for this episode we saw was Joshua and Uma. Now Lexi is in the shadow because Lexi was eliminated last time. She had her bags packed. So Joshua and Uma talk, and Joshua says it's time to focus on the woman here. Lexi had words for him on the way out, and he explained how he heard it, which I'm thankful for Joshua because he's like, that ain't technically what she said, but this is what I heard.
Yes, I do like that. I do like that precision in him explaining the difference between what she actually said and the way he heard it.
He said, what did he do to show that? And Uma says she could have left a long time ago if that's how she really felt, that he was not the husband for her. So the tablet dings and it tells them today is about the importance of connection and compatibility. Share any secrets that you've held. Joshua will go on 2 individual active dates, and the end is coming, but remember to have fun. So he said his NFL career clouds how women see him in the past. He has to be open to these women here since he, asked them to be open and vulnerable with him. Now, Joshua does something that I don't know if you saw, Aubrey. When he was done reading the tablet, he put it face down. Is that normal?
I
He put
did.
it face down.
I did not notice that. What are you trying to insinuate?
It is a tablet that it can't ding unless the staff causes it to ding. Why we got to put it face down? Is that how he usually handles his phone and other technology? Face down? I'm just being messy, okay? I'm just being a little messy. But a tablet that you don't have to put face down, your natural inclination is to put it face down.
Oh, I see you saying that possibly that could be a habit of his with his electronic devices. Okay.
Yes, but he does. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm trying to think of that. Like, does a person like Josh even leave his phone around? Like, maybe he has a cord and keeps it tied to his neck, like a little lanyard. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, but it just shocked me, like how you treat this could be not necessarily how he does, could be how he treats his phone. Because I walk around with my phone. My phone is face up. But I also have my phone that it don't light up, okay? My phone will give a notification ding, but it don't light up. I just have that setting on my phone.
I'm sorry. I think we may be having a storm over here, so you're breaking up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I said with my phone, it doesn't light up. The screen doesn't light up with every message. It just gives an audio ding. But I don't put my devices face down.
Okay, yeah, I don't either. But yeah.
So he said he does put things according to the ladies. He knows one of them was left-handed. He notices and remembers those things when he's putting painting supplies there, and they're going to be painting their hearts. And, Chambrielle said there's a missing piece between her and Joshua. And Joshua asked them, well, have any of y'all played sports? And Tamara said, yes, track and field and cheerleading. And Chambrielle does agree she did cheerleading as well. But, they asked, is cheerleading a sport? And they're like, yes. Now, do you think cheerleading is a sport, actually, Aubrey?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Yeah, I do. You think about the physicality of it. Gosh, it's almost like gymnastics. When you see the cheerleaders, I know you're probably talking about the basic cheerleading, but then there's the cheerleading. I don't know what it's called, and it's a part of cheerleading where they build the
pyramids.
Yeah, and they get up and they toss each other and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a sport. I think so.
It is definitely a sport, and I have a girlfriend whose daughter is in college cheerleading, and she is flying in the air, and my heart races every time I see it. It is definitely a sport, and that's what I loved with a show called Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. It used to be on Max HBO, where they would talk about what is a sport. They would ask, different things like chess, is fishing a sport, all of that. And yes, after watching Cheer on Netflix, you definitely know it's a sport. These cheerleaders, they do conditioning.
Yeah. You have to be in good shape. You really do. You have to be in good shape. I would see it as a sport. That's just me.
Right. That is me as well. And any of you in the comments, please let us know. Do you think cheerleading is a sport? We think it is. Let us know below. So Joshua tells the ladies he's been holding back his profession. He's in professional football, and he's in year 7 in the league. I saw how he threw in the years. 7.
Yeah, he wanted them to know. Look, count them up.
Right. This ain't no rookie.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. He's no rookie. Exactly. He wanted them to know.
He ain't no rookie. He is 7 years in the league. Now, we ain't gonna say where he been around the league, on practice squads and stuff, but he is, an unrestricted free agent. So Tamara said this is crazy. And he told the ladies apparently that, he was conditioning for a triathlon. That's why he's been trying to stay fit.
Okay.
I'm like, why would he say that? But he doesn't look like a triathlete to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I don't really know. I've seen the sport. I've seen it on TV, but I don't know the difference between their physique and body versus his.
They're
I
more a swimmer or marathon runner physique.
physique.
That kind,
Okay,
yeah.
lighter, a little bit lighter.
Lighter,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Lighter, leaner, more slender, less muscle. So
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
like, ladies,
Yeah, but mm, mm,
okay.
I mean, unless they're really into it themselves or watching it, they probably didn't think a whole lot about him saying a triathlon. They probably didn't.
Possibly. But Tamara says he's human, and it'll put what he needs in a partner into perspective. And she checks those boxes. And for those boxes that she does not check, she will work to check these unchecked boxes. Joshua says people have gone, to do into what can he do for them. Now, what did you think about Tamara saying she checks boxes and what she don't check, she gonna check? Is she talking about changing herself to fit what he wants?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know. She just came across at this point. She just came across really weird all of a sudden. Like,
She did.
like we already, and my thing is with her is Joshua had already told his brother on a previous episode that she seems good, but the thing about it is there's so much missing from her, that he doesn't know, right? And then now for her to be like the way she is now all of a sudden because he says he's a professional football player is really giving some vibes like maybe she's starstruck a little bit because of his
Right.
job. And I don't
But
like
why?
that. I don't
But
like that.
why when she is a sportscaster?
It doesn't matter. Let's think about this. What do we know the motivation of why she got to be into sportscasting versus some other type of journalism?
Well,
Hello?
yeah, because we
Hello?
see, with James,
Mhm.
Alicia is in the club to meet, to be around the vicinity of high profile people. Maybe
Hello?
that could be Tamara's.
Girl.
So Chambrielle had to hit us with a 1-2, said, it doesn't change who he is as a person. And she has dated high profile before and don't care how much money he got because of bad character.
Yeah.
Now, Josh said he don't believe them, that his NFL career don't make a difference. But while dating, you don't know what's real and what's fake. What do you think? He don't believe them.
Well, yeah, I think I can see it from both sides of the fence. I can see him why he might would say that. Um Someone else mentioned it in your chat, and I'm reading all the comments as people are chatting, and keep them coming, keep them coming. But I think that he does have an ego. I think that he also may have some insecurities because going into this season, he knows that he's a free agent and nobody yet has made an offer, right? So he's got to be feeling some kind of way from on his professional side versus him knowing that in the past when he was gainfully employed by a team, there were all these women coming out the woodworks to chase after him and to hang on to his coattails, right? So he wouldn't see it as, well, no, most people this is this doesn't mean anything to them because it definitely means something to the women that he's accustomed to. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, understood. Yeah, it would mean something to the ladies that he has dated in the past. Now, he does go on a date. His first active date is with Chambrielle, and they do ATVs.
Oh, oh,
Now, after we heard how much it takes to put these ladies together monthly,
mm-hmm.
um, yeah, we going on ATVs to spray mud. Is that what we're
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, that's what we're doing. And you know what? I loved it. I loved the whole date. I loved the whole vibe. I loved it. And apparently Chanbrielle did too. She
Yeah,
loved it.
I loved it too. She didn't try to put the hair up in the bonnet, nothing. She
No.
was she was chill. He did not expect her to embrace the mud. She, jumped on him after they were done. She was carried
Mm,
away with the adrenaline, and he carried
yeah.
her, and he says, "Hello, hello."
Well, yeah, if you saw where he was squeezing when she jumped up on him, that was, that was the hug that was insinuated on the Never Ever Best. That was the hug that everybody was trying to say that happened with what's his face, Clay
Clay and his bestie.
and his bestie. Yeah, that's that's what they were trying to insinuate. But nah, that was a hug.
Oh,
I was getting some kind of feels on that one.
oh, he was getting some kind of feel too. He got two scoops. He got two handfuls. Okay, he got two
Yeah.
handfuls, and he enjoyed what he got to carry.
He did. And I thought to myself, I said, now see, you probably used to them skinny, you know what. But hey, feel better, don't it, when you got a little something to hang on to.
Got a whole lot. You ain't got to be afraid of breaking nothing.
No, no.
She can handle what they say, what they go pound for pound, round for round, okay?
And I was impressed that a slender but well built guy like himself, of course he's a professional athlete, so he was able to handle all of that. I was like, okay,
He
all
better
right, they look good together. That's all I'm
he
gonna
better
say.
be able to handle all of that because he be pushing men twice her size.
Yes, absolutely,
Come
absolutely.
on now, he got to know how to handle it. Granted, he ain't truly lifting them, but you got to know if you got to do a tackle and stuff. I'm sorry, y'all. I used to be a football fan. I used to be real. If he gonna tackle, if he ain't pulling here, he got to push between the numbers. He got to scoot to the side. But sometimes
Mm.
you got to lift them and drop them. So he better know how to handle this.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, listen at you, girl. But all I know is I got the tingles. That's all I can say. I'm gonna move on because I don't want to be thinking about my tingles anymore. But it was cute. It was a great scene. I'm glad that she went with it because I could see some of the other ladies not being able to go with it. And you know what? They wouldn't have got the response from him that she got from him because he was over the moon that he could see that these are the type of things they could share excitement, adventure, and she could let herself go and not worry about her hair, her nails, or any of that and just have fun,
Right.
just have fun.
Because Chambriel knows you can go to the spa, you can go back to the nail spa and get the nail fixed that's broken. She knows you ain't got to upkeep, ain't got to keep you from fun.
Mm-hmm. Listen to the question that to go to Africa has. What do you think about that? That's an interesting question.
You don't
Thank you for
understand
that.
why they ate before she was able to shower. Because we're on site. There's no shower on site.
Yeah, I guess she's saying like maybe if they could have went home. I get what she's saying, but yeah, but to your point, you're right. It's like you're already out in whatever like a wooded area they were in, and it didn't seem like a shower was accessible right at the moment, but you had worked up an appetite.
Right.
I don't mind eating when I'm sweaty. It doesn't matter. Like if I'm gonna eat, and then I can always go home and shower when I get home. So
Right. I would have liked a few wet ones to get my face and my hands,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
but
But
that's about it. That's just me.
you know what? And then did everybody catch that he specifically catered and had the Popeyes brought to them because that was something that she enjoyed.
Right. He was romantic. They had a picnic. He said there was Popeyes. He gave her flowers. But Joshua, again, the player that Joshua is, he's an attentive player. He had,
Hmm.
remember, the paintbrushes were on the correct side for the left-handed lady. So him remembering Popeyes, I am not surprised.
I was impressed because it's a thing to remember it. Number one, you get a point for that, but then to follow through with it, you get several points for that, and then the flowers added to it. I like she said, well, Joshua says he's not romantic, but she's like, could have fooled me. He did a good job, and she was blushing. She
Right.
was
And she told him
blushing.
he did an excellent job. And that's the other key. Ladies, you got to tell them when they do an excellent job. It can't just be complaints.
Yeah, you got to. You got to. A friend of mine once said, "You never tell me, attaboy." Now there was a reason for that. There was a reason for that, but I'm glad he brought that to my attention because I didn't like him like that, and he was always trying. So that's a whole nother story for another day. But yeah, you do. You have to. It's like training your kids. You can't just always tell them no, or this, you're doing this wrong. You have to go behind and just kind of redirect and and,
Right.
and appreciate what they are doing right.
Well, Chambrielle does confirm that him being in the NFL changes nothing for her. He ain't her first rodeo, and she has dated high profile people before. So he does share that he has shown in the past, he has seen in the past how people have handled it. And she said it don't change how she sees him. She tells him, trust what you do and everything will be fine. He says his date with her has drawn him to her and they are spicing up a bit. So was there anything additional you wanted to say about Chambrielle and Joshua's date?
No, like I said, I think I said everything. I love the way he paid attention to the details. I love the way she appreciated him and she acknowledged that he had paid attention to the details, and they just had a really good time. Like, to me, just that last little scene as they were at the table for the picnic with the Popeyes, um, he really looked like he wanted to kiss her and some other stuff. And I
Oh,
think
yeah,
they both kind of played, like little word games on that they could they both felt the tension. There was a lot of sexual tension.
definitely. Especially with the belly full and we're already a little dirty. We could get a different kind of dirty. Okay.
Hmm.
So Oma and Tamaris are home playing cards while, Joshua and Chambrielle are coming home. Oma does say Chambrielle is herself no matter who is around. But she's like, keep an eye out. Tamaris is not looking happy. But when they come in, I love that Oma was just teasing Joshua about him having a great date. And see, it was so awesome to me, Uma teasing him about a great date, but Tamaris didn't find nothing funny about it. Nothing.
Mm-mm. She actually looked. I could see her being concerned, because she's still in it, and I thought from the past that she liked him, but she almost seemed. Not only was she uncomfortable, but she almost, the look on her face was like a little bit like jealousy, and I don't like to see that.
Yes, especially since she's the next date. Why would I have feel some kind of way when I know I'm up next? Why?
Yeah, true, true, true.
So Tamaris and Joshua the next day, they have a date. She's learned to ride a bicycle. She's told him she's never rode a bike. She can't remember when she told him, but she said it's cute that he paid attention and remembered. So she is extra flirty now and says the bike, now that she's learned to ride the bike, and he had great instructions for her. Yes, he did push himself and say he coached it a year since he coached her into riding. But she is pushing and saying that ain't the only thing now that she knows how to ride. And Joshua's like, ooh, baby.
Hello. Yeah.
She kissed him. She kissed it. She hugged him from behind and he kissed her cheek. What did you think about her innuendos?
Thirsty. It came across as thirsty. It just came across. Like I said, I lost this episode. My general thoughts about her change, because I felt like she was aloof before anyway, but I didn't know if that was because she was shy, she was introverted. You even talked about how she's a journalist and why she didn't tap into her journalistic skills, remember?
Yep.
But now that she found out he's a pro ball player, now all of a sudden, nah, it just came across as thirsty. I'm sorry.
It did. It did come across as thirsty. They do have a picnic as well by the pool chairs, and she, decides to feed him grapes like the Romans did back in the day. And Tamara says when he looks at her, he looks into her soul. She does like him, and Tamara says, she hopes that he picks her, and they continue to learn from each other. He does acknowledge he's attracted to her, and he was attracted to her from the start, but she left him confused. Her lack of openness certainly was a block. But also, Josh, don't forget you kissed Chambrielle first. There was no confusion there. That's why she kind of pushed you to the side because you kissed Chambriel first. But anyway, so she decides to lay in his lap, y'all. Okay, now we laying in the lap, and she says, how would she fit into his life? And he, that's another player psychology. How would you put me in your life? She's trying to see what boxes she could check. He says it takes a lot. There's, no way to get a full picture of fitting into his life within this process. Honest answer. And the only way to find out is to do it, is what Tamara said. So she pushed him, pick me. Joshua thinks now he's getting physical touch. Is it because he, told her about him being in football, or is it because it's almost to the end? So he tells her, you've been affectionate, but he don't know her intentions. And he does kiss her cheek again. And he asks, will he make the right decision? What did you think about Tamaris now laying on him? How do I figure in your life? Am I going to be the one you going to pick? What did you think about this interaction with them eating and having their picnic?
I hated it. Hated it. And I'm going to tell you why I hated it. Because Tamaris has made it abundantly clear that she is chasing after a ball player now. In my opinion.
She wasn't chasing after him before, that's for sure.
Right. But now all of a sudden it's, I'm affectionate. Can I lay my head in your lap? And where do I fit in? How do you see me fitting into your life and your lifestyle with all that money and that big old mansion?
Miss me with that.
Like she just could have had GD tattooed on her forehead for gold digger. I hated it.
Or just T for thirsty. Tamaris. The T for Tamaris is now T for thirsty.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because it was so obvious. Like, what?
And to make it, if it was obvious at the pool, this next part is gonna make it way past obvious. Joshua tells us he laying in the bed. It's at night. We got the night vision camera on his bed, and he hears a knock on his door, and it's Tamaris, and she comes in and jumps in the bed with him. He said he likes that she is taking what she wants, but why now? Is she nervous about losing him? And y'all, he did not refuse the cuddles. She got into the bed. He pulled the sheet up, and she was little spoon, he was big spoon. And that was the end of the episode. What did you think about Tamaris coming over, knocking on the door to come between the sheets?
Hated it. Like, why do that, honey? Why? I mean, at least with the other situation, the other couple with Chad and Jasmine, at least Chad was the one who initiated the whole bedroom thing, right?
Right.
No, I'm not down with. I'm gonna be a shy girl with guys as long as I'm a girl. I'm not the one to just do all these moves like that. Like no. And then especially after he made that announcement that he made, it's so obvious. It's so obvious that she has changed how she sees him because of what he does. And that's exactly what he was telling them that he didn't want. He's had his share of women like that.
Right. That is exactly what he's saying, but he didn't refuse. That's the other part of this. He has Chambriel.
He's a man.
He has Chambriel. And what?
Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't hear you.
You don't hear me?
Oh, I do. Okay, you stop talking.
Okay. Right. What I was giving you a moment to say. What if Chambriel hears about this?
Well, yeah, exactly, and that goes back to what I was saying about Jasmine. When these people take these people into their bedrooms, accept them into their bedrooms, ask them into their bedrooms, it changes the whole dynamic of the house. And even if the other women in the house don't know about it, you're never going to look at Shambriel the same way. Meaning Joshua, and it just throws everything out of whack. But
But
to get,
what
but
about self-control? Why can't we wait till the end of the season, end of the process?
why couldn't David and that heifer wait on Married at First Sight? Why couldn't they wait till the marriage was annulled or the divorce was final or divorce was even started before they started?
Touche.
You know, say why do people do what they do? Like I said, Joshua is still a man, and Tamara's is not no slacker woman. She is a very gorgeous, just much like Chambriel. They're both gorgeous women. So now what we have to wait to see is the upcoming week is maybe initially she got in the bed, but maybe he sat up and thought about it and said, you know what, this is breaking the rules. I want you and Chambriel to have a fair, when I review everything, I want to be able to review it without any partiality because we were in bed together, we slept together, or whatever that thing is. You know, we may see that this coming week. I'm hoping that we do, because if not, I will have lost a lot of respect for Joshua.
Right, because he's talking about women that see him as an NFL athlete and really coming after him. Again, his NFL or sports athletes, they certainly know that there are women that will try to come and sneak into the bed with them. Why would you be accepting of this, knowing the situation? There are cameras. There are cameras everywhere. Even if there wasn't a camera in his room, there's cameras in the hallway showing that you tiptoed to his room.
Exactly.
So again, I'm going to ask him, like, why would you? Don't forget also, we have a preview from early on that we haven't seen again that talks about somebody being told they broke the rules and that they're being, I guess, disciplined.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why these young women and men can't wait. It's like a day, a week, and this will be over with and we'll be at the end. But that's why I say I see it as Tamara's. She really changed how she treated him based on what he said to her. And then how does that look later on when he looks back at it? Because we see that there's going to be a choice that he has to make, and how will he factor that into his choice when he makes the choice between the two ladies?
Right, exactly. And does Chambriel find out? Does she get to know? Is Tamara's gonna make her walk of shame in private with not being caught? What would make this extra funny is if somebody else comes to Josh's door and see Tamara's there. I don't care if it's Chambriel or Uma. I would love
I would love for it to be Uma, because Uma ain't gonna hold back, I feel like.
Right. Uma. I'm surprised Uma didn't hear, because I am sure Uma has been protecting Joshua from all kinds of ladies trying to come at him. But she probably thought we're in a safe environment. This is a safe space.
Yeah, it's not safe. They're gonna have to put alarms next season. They're gonna have to put alarms on the guy's door or the lady's door if they decide to do Somebody's Daughter. I don't know. They're gonna have to put alarms on the master
alarms
bedroom.
on the door. Yeah. It's gonna have to be roommates with mama.
Yeah, there you go. Or put these girls, two to a room. I'm serious. Put them two to a room. Make it twin beds or whatever, but put them two to a room, because that way they're gonna keep an eye on each other.
Two to a room. If somebody's wearing a sleep mask and earplugs, they ain't gonna hear it.
Ooh, that's a heavy sleeper, because I'm a light sleeper. Anything will wake me up. Anything. The wind blowing in the new direction. What's going on? I'm a very light sleeper, so that, I can't.
As I said, that was the end of the episode. But in the previews, we saw, Joshua is told by the tablet, it's time to trust your heart. He's looking at his past. He's talking to someone saying she's the obvious one. James, his journey is coming to an end. He does ask his mother in the car, are you good? She's like, no, but she'll get there. And James does ask someone to be exclusive with him. So we see that James and Joshua have a decision to make next episode. What did you think about the previews?
Yeah, and wait a minute, you left out that Joshua said that it was always you. It's always been you. And so now who is he saying that to? Is he saying that to Tamaris, or is he saying that to Shambriel? And if he's saying that to Shambriel, what happened that night that Tamaris went and got in the bed with him? We need to see all of that coming up.
Oh, we don't see all of it. I'm hoping that they start just like they did Chad. I'm hoping they start the episode exactly how they ended it with
Mm-hmm.
Tamaris in the bed with Joshua, because I'm sorry, there's no way, he would be able to respect Shambriel if she knows about this. How can he look at her the next day unless he a true player for real?
Mm-hmm.
And he all about the game and not necessarily the prize.
Yeah, and because even if it was a moment of, weakness that turned into 15 minutes of weakness, you're right, because he then can't pick Shambriel, realizing that she's going to see this if he picks her and he really likes her, and then this is going to be a surprise to her. So what's going to
Right.
happen? We got a lot of questions that's got to be answered.
A lot. So Joshua next episode has to choose between Shambriel and Tamaris, and James has to choose between Alicia and Sabrina. And we will all definitely be tuning into episode 12 to see exactly who they're going to choose. Now, actually, Aubrey, tell the people where they can find you and what are you up to?
I'm actually Aubrey on all platforms, especially here on the YouTubers. And right now, I'm kind of up in the air. I put something in the chat earlier, and I don't know if anybody saw it. It was kind of early, and people were still coming in. But what would you like for us to cover next? What would you like for me to cover? And what would you like for this lovely lady right here, El Cid, to cover? Because she's got a lot of stuff already on her plate. We talked about the possibility of doing that show, 1,000 pound roomies, and I think I'm going to get started on that today. I know I'm a few weeks behind, but I'm going to go ahead and get that done. And is there anything else? Because there's a few shows that are out there, and I was just wondering, what do you got? What do you guys want to see? Let us know. Drop down in the comments, either here live or later on in the comments if you're on the part of the replay gang. Okay.
Yeah, because somebody's son, we don't know if Saturday's episode is going to be the last episode, episode 12, or if there's a reunion, but definitely we'll be back next week, Tuesday, to cover Somebody's Son. I'm also covering Alone. If you love survival shows, History Channel drops 10 players in isolation and they have to out-survive each other for $500,000. So I do recaps weekly of Alone. I also, coming up at the end of July, I'll be doing Project Runway, because you know what? The new permanent judge is Law Roach, and I absolutely love Law Roach. So, Nick, I'm going to see when I can do the Meet the Designers, but Heidi Klum is back as the hostess. Christian is still the mentor, and y'all go read in the news why Tim Gunn is not back. Yes, we are watching Love is Blind. Love is Blind Italy is coming. The trailer is out. We don't know exactly when yet that it is coming, but we have Italy coming this year. We have France. We have UK. And we're supposed to have Love is Blind Brazil season 5, which are the seniors. So we are still rooted in Love is Blind over here, but we got other things to cover while we wait for Love is Blind. We ain't just one trick pony over here.
Nope.
We also have Unsolicited Advice, which new episode is tomorrow. And we have Unscripted on Fridays at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we're doing lots over here. Some things will roll back when Love is Blind comes in, and some things will push forward once Love is Blind gives us a hiatus. But yes, we are definitely here. Yes, find out why Tim didn't get his contract. Tim has a lot to say in the press. Let's just say that. Make it work. Where's Andre? I love Tim, but hey, but other than that, it has been wonderful. We will be back next week for Somebody's Son. Yes, go ahead and make sure you are subscribed. 80% of the people are coming through, Aubrey, and they are not subscribed. They're not subscribed.
What? My team? Come on now, Miss Iffy, Tuber Chat, Joshua Gabriel. I know you guys have came over and shown your love for LC at 932. Now, come on. We
And
know
I
how to
know
do
my
it.
folks are over there because they catch me on Sundays, and I know y'all are subscribed to actually Aubrey's channel because on Sundays we used to do Never Ever Mets. We gonna find something else, even if it's 1,000-pound roomies. We gonna find it. And I just saw Match Me the Other Way, like Match Me Abroad is back.
Wait a minute. Wait. Have you seen? Did you see the first season? Did anybody see the first season of Match Me Abroad? That
Yes.
was my
Yes.
show. Oh my
Yes.
God, it was so good last season, and it's rearing up to be really good this season. You're interested, Elsie?
I haven't watched the first episode yet, but yes, Match Me Abroad. If you want to do that on Sundays, we could do Match Me Abroad.
Yes. That's it. Yes.
I have Project Runway here today, Flavor Tea. Well, I'll try to do some fashion. I'm your fashionless friend. I am not the fashion girl. You know, I wear simple t-shirts. So, but we will try to snazz it up for Project Runway. Thank you for the compliments for the here. We'll try and snazz it up for the lives for Project Runway. I will only be doing live for Project Runway because the recap is about what is the challenge this week, and let's get to the fashions and talk about it. That's all I'll be doing with Project Runway, unless there's some real heat in the design room. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for being here. Aubrey, is there anything else you want to tell our lovely people?
I wish you guys have a great and beautiful Tuesday afternoon and evening, and have a wonderful rest of your week, guys. And thank you for joining us so much. We appreciate you.
Right, and we'll see you here next week when we cover episode 12. Who does James choose and who does Joshua choose? Leave in the comments below, who do you think the ladies they should choose and who you think their mama want them to choose. But thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.